I built a $15,000 LinkedIn outbound automation using Claude Cowork. So whether you are sat on a spreadsheet of previous leads or you are starting completely from scratch, you have the exact same opportunity in front of you. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you step by step how we build the full outbound automation plugin, how we write messages, do all the follow-ups, any safety measures you need to be concerned about, how you can do this totally for free, a small paid version, and then the most scalable, most autonomous business version. And then finally, we're going to be testing everything out so you can see what it looks like in person. So to get started, the only thing you actually need is a Claude Pro subscription as a bare minimum. So that's $17 a month. Outside of that, you don't actually need anything else. So once you're inside of your Claude desktop app, when you've downloaded it, you'll see chat, Cowork, and code at the very top. So we need to make sure we're in the Cowork section, and then we're actually going to head over to the customize. And customize is where we can see skills, connectors, and plugins. Now, plugins is essentially a combination of both skills and connectors. So it's the tasks you want Claude to do, which are the skills, and the connectors, so it's the things it needs to complete those tasks, so the external services we need. And for what we're building, we need two. So for the free version, we need a Claude in Chrome, which is just the Chrome plugin, totally for free. And then for the slightly paid version, we would actually be using an external service like Vibe Prospecting or Apollo, and I'll be covering that later in the video. So go to personal plugins here and click the plus button, and we're actually going to click create with Claude. And this is what is so insanely powerful about Claude Cowork is it's going to walk you through step by step how to do absolutely everything. Okay, so I'm going to write, I want you to build me a LinkedIn outbound automation where I can give you a list of leads or ask you to scrape me leads. You then build the messaging with personalization and do the outreach using my account. And that is the instruction I'm going to give Cowork. And now through a series of questions and prompts, what it's going to do is it's going to define everything. So the way I want to build this plugin, because I've actually already got one of these working on my behalf, is I want to make sure it's got a definition around stuff like messaging and personalization and schedule and also the safety measures, right? So one of the big things with LinkedIn Outbound or LinkedIn in general is they're obviously against any type of automation. So I want to make this look as human as possible. And the good thing about Cowork, because it's actually using your account, it does look far more human. And I want to make sure there's plenty of delays between things. I want to make sure we're only doing this with 10 to 15 accounts per day as a maximum. I also want to set a schedule between the outreach and actually doing this process. So I don't want to, do all 15 at 9 a.m. I'd rather do one and then come back an hour later and do another and do another. And we're going to set that all up throughout this process because scheduling this is going to be a really important way of doing it. We can also do lots of other cool things like engaging with content and scraping content for our outreach. So it's now coming through and it's saying, I just want to understand the architecture and what basically, so I can design exactly what you have built. So this is so you can see exactly step by step everything Claude Cowork can do. Because ultimately there is, so many tutorials out there that just don't actually show you what goes in step by step. And it's very, very simple. Non-technical people can do this. It's super easy. Okay, so I just want to do it again for a YouTube video. Because the one I've already got, it actually works great. So I'm going to say all of the above. What's your outreach rate? So blank connect, then DM, which is the best because LinkedIn actually limits the number of connection messages you can send a week. I think it's like 5 or 10, and I never have used that strategy ever. Anyway, I always do blank connection messages and then do a message after that. The only time I'll actually be doing a message straight away is if they're first degree connection. So if you do have a list of contacts, you'll be going to first degree if you're already connected with them. So I'm going to say I'm doing my AI audit offer. I run an AI consulting firm. If you're interested in learning more, first link in the description. And I'm going to say, what's my plugin name? I'm going to put LinkedIn Autopilot. So essentially what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be building my outbound sequence like I've already got for reaching out to, in my industry is professional service firms, where we help them automate their processes. So that's both outreach and also making their processes more autonomous using AI and AI systems. So it says here, we're using a default strategy of blank connect, DM after acceptance. We're using the AI audit as a default template. Now that's important because it says default, but it's actually always going to ask us, and we're going to be showing this later on, that, hey, do I actually want to use this? Okay. Now we can see here, it's supporting things like LinkedIn scrape. So giving it a URL, pasting in a list, or using Explorium/Apollo. Now Explorium is vibe prospecting, and it has got 150 million businesses in their database that you can now use. Okay. So as you can see here, it's going to create those core skills and reference files. And whilst it's doing that, I actually want to show you some of the connectors it's going to be using and how you can get your hands on them totally for free. So we're going to come over to customize here, and you see connectors here. We're going to click on that, and these are my connectors. So connectors, really simply put, is you are giving Claude Cowork access to other tools externally. So Claude Cowork is essentially like a brain. It's an engine that could do tasks, but it needs you to give it access to stuff. So as a bare minimum, and it is included, is the Claude in Chrome extension. And that means it can act as like an executive assistant would. So you could give it a task to say, go on Amazon and find these products, and it would use your Claude in Chrome browser because you're not going to use the Amazon API for that, right? So we need vibe prospecting as a bare minimum, and Apollo too. So you come here, plus browse connectors up here, and you can find these all in here. So you can see here, and you'll just click this plus button, and it will prompt you, and it will take you over to your account. Now, both Apollo and vibe prospecting, and also there's another tool called Apify, which is the biggest directory of scrapers in the world. These all have really generous free accounts. So you can scrape 400 plus contacts with vibe prospecting. You get $5 a month for Apify, and that is literally thousands of leads. And Apollo also has a really generous plan. So you just want to make sure we have those connectors, because when we're now building out this plugin, it's going to, potentially use those. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to. So I just want to clarify this. If we just wanted it to use Claude in Chrome for this to be totally free, as in we don't want to install anything else, we can absolutely do that. And we can actually specify that within the documentation. And I will go through how to do that. And it's just going to be as simple as a prompt. So I'm just coming back to the task now, and we can see it's still working and it's building everything out. So we can see here, it's called the plugin LinkedIn Autopilot. It's generated one skill, which is core knowledge, personalization rules, and safety limits. It's got 5 commands. So if I want to do autopilot setup, prospect, connect, check connections, or bump, I can just instruct it to do those 1 tasks. I can also instruct it to do all of them because the plugin has access to absolutely everything. This is the strategy that it's going with, like we said before. So now it's essentially building out all of this into a usable plugin for us to complete this totally free outbound automation engine. Now, if I want to specify and change this, I will say, hey, I want your first port of call to always be Claude in Chrome. So if I say I want you to scrape me 10 realtors from New York City, I always want you to go Claude in Chrome first. However, if I say I want you to scrape me 100 New York-based consulting firms, and I want them to be between 20 and 80 employees, I want you to start with LinkedIn. What it's most likely going to do is going to go to LinkedIn and try and do that. And then it will likely find that it's quite difficult for it to tell how big of companies they are, like what their employees count is. And it will then recommend switching to Explorium or Apollo and using their database of their employee headcounts of those companies to essentially verify, okay? So it's gonna do this in multiple stages. So after literally a few minutes, it has built the entire plugin for us. And we can see it here by clicking on this. And we can see we've got the readme.md file. So this is the full overview. We've got all these skills within it. So references, personalization guide, safety limits are all in here. It's seeing the variables it's pulling through. We've got all the skills, we've got all the commands, and we've got the full plugin JSON. And it has done it totally autonomously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save plugin. And what that's going to do is now I'm going to save it to my plugin section. So if I click on manage here, we can come through and we can see it saved it locally, LinkedIn Autopilot. Okay, So to use this plugin, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can do the slash commands, or you can come here and it's even easier. You can come down to plugins and I can go here and then I can do autopilot setup and I can hit just let's go, right? And it's just gonna start walking me through it, okay? So I'm gonna do outreach campaign for software engineer leads. There we go. So it's prompted me, and now it's going to do a series of prompts to make sure that it's targeting the exact right people and it's starting the outreach campaign in the manner I want. So obviously the titles, the people, the industry, the messaging, and then it's going to actually start doing it. So I'm going to name this software engineering outreach, and then I'm going to do blank connection, and I'm going to do very basic personalization levels. And this is what's so nice about plugins. It's going to prompt you, once it's set up, it prompts you every step of the way. Okay, so I'm going to say use my default template from AI consulting and running the AI audit offer. Again, link in the description if you want to learn how to make money being non-technical, selling AI services. I'm going to say yes, default bump. And we can see now it's built out that campaign. So it's saying, yes, I want to set up this automation. And it's only prompting me like this because it's a full plugin, so it's got all of these commands within it. So if it was just a single skill, it would essentially have stopped here, right? Because this is just one single skill. And now it's saying, hey, do we want to schedule the task? I say, first, can you show me an example of the messaging? So here we go. Step one. No connection message. Hey Sarah, you're probably thinking a lot about how AI is affecting your industry right now, and it'll actually replace your industry with a variable, which is why I wanted to reach out. We do AI audits for software development, and if we don't find at least $50,000 in inefficiencies in 14 days, you don't pay. Worth a quick chat. Hey Sarah, bump this. Did you have a chance to think about the AI audit? Happy to walk you through it on a 15-minute call. And you see here, it says basic personalization will change first name and industry to be relevant to them. Okay. Yes, I want you to finish. So now it's saying, do I have permission to finish the rest of the tasks? Or do I want to tweak the messaging? And no, I just want to finish the rest of these tasks. And now we can see it's scheduled all these tasks. So 9:15, it's doing this, it's connecting, checking connections at 10, sending more requests at 11:30, 2 and 4:30, which is great because that is just like totally natural, right? If your LinkedIn account is newer, start at 10 to 15, so it's even giving warnings. And I'm going to say, yes, run the next step. So now it's actually going to prompt us to build the lead list itself, okay? So this is where a lot of people get hung up, like, hey, I can do outreach, even though it's very tedious, but how do I get the lists to actually reach out to? How do I find my perfect prospect? So now you can see it's invoked the prospecting skill that it generated. And now it's going to start looking into that skill, what that skill actually requires to run correctly. And then it's going to start building out that lead list for us. So I'm going to say LinkedIn scraping because that's the free version, and I'm just going to say 5, and I'm going to say engineering. Go back here, allow all browser actions. So we can see that it's just wanting to use Claude in Chrome to actually search for these prospects. This is the totally free version, right? So using my LinkedIn account, you can see it's actually started scraping all of this contact information for these people. So name, title, company location, and it's gone through page by page, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. So you come over to Claude in Chrome and you can see it here. You just want to make sure you're logged into the same account and it'll connect. And you can tell that by the little orange highlight around the Chrome tab. And you can see it's now on page 5 and it's scraped all of these contact information. And here is the tracker. So let's open this up. Now, this is a great example of why we want to check work. So you can see here, the first one looks good, but the rest of it doesn't quite add up to what we want to see, right? So now I want to go back and make sure it always verifies this. And this is what's important with plugins is when you are designing them, you'll go back and forth with them a couple of times and keep asking them to update the plugin so it delivers what you want every single time. So the output of the data isn't correct. I need you to check all the fields and make sure they line up correctly. It's all a mess right now. Again, not using any technical speak here. I'm just tell them, so like someone I would say, hey, the output fields aren't correct. It's all a mess. I need you to go and make sure this is correct and make sure everything lines up. You know, first name, last name, and all that good stuff. Now it's going to interpret what I've said. It might even ask me a certain question, and then it will then go and fix everything. So now we can see it's actually updated everything. We've got first name, last name, job title, bum, and date, which is awesome, is exactly what we want. So if I wanted to take this up a notch and start using some of those connectors we spoke about previously, like Vibe Prospecting or Apollo, I can ask it to scrape leads using them. So I'll say, using the Vibe Prospecting connector, scrape me 5 CEOs of consulting firms in New York. And now I've given it a very clear instruction. It's with you working within the LinkedIn Outreach plugin. It also knows that it can use the Vibe Prospecting connector. So now it's going to fire that off and actually start scraping leads that way. Now, as I said at the start of this video, this is the small paid version. So there is 400 free credits with Vibe Prospecting anyway. So you can just use those and that is totally free. After that, after you've got some more scale, you'll have to pay for their database, but it's 100% worth it. You do the same with Apollo. I mean, ultimately, if you really wanted to, you could just rotate free accounts, and that is, you know, your prerogative, let's say. So now it's just going to do the same thing, but it's now using their database. So rather than using Claude and Chrome and LinkedIn, it's going to use that to scrape. And then we have it using Vibe Prospecting. This is just a preview of 3. We've got, again, name, title, company, LinkedIn, profile URL, and it's even telling us the credit export, right? So if I were now wanted to go and check my scheduled tasks, I can come in here and you can see here, I have LinkedIn Connect midday, LinkedIn Connect morning, and it is now scheduled these out. So this is just going to run totally autonomously. Now you will, of course, need Cowork to be open on your desktop for this to run. So you can see I've got daily email updates, weekly meetings. I've got a bunch of scheduled tasks inside of my Cowork. The last thing I want to mention is if you want to take this up to a business grade outreach system, you might want to plug into some SaaS platforms that are already out there, and you basically use Cowork as like an executive assistant between. So you'll use, say, Explorium or Apollo, and you'll use like HeyReach. Another one is AimFox to actually do the outbound sending at like mass scale for you. You might want to use multiple accounts and stuff like that. So this would be how you would actually be able to launch a LinkedIn outbound agency. Now, AimFox is really cool because it actually has AI avatar accounts you can use as well, so you can get real crazy scale out of this. So that's how I did it. That is how I built my LinkedIn outbound automation engine that has delivered me over $15,000 at this time of speaking. And that is because I sell $5,000 to $10,000 AA audits. And this just does the automated outbound for me, which means that I can just concentrate on the most important work. So if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy like deep step-by-steps, you might want to check out this video next. And if you want to start your own AI consulting firm, check out this video next.